that is pure. Of course, that does not mean a life without sin. Because if that is what it took to live a life full of wisdom, then there would only be one person able to live that sort of life. After all, we are all sinners, and we are all in need of God's grace. Rather, living a life that is pure deals mainly with a person's motives for doing the things that they do. And motives, like acting with wisdom, elicit reactions. A person with pure motives, who is acting with godly wisdom, behaves differently than the average unsaved citizen. The only way to change lives is to live righteously. And righteousness changes lives. Selfishness is not from above. Peace and gentleness are the product of wise living. Knowing the right time to take a stand is one of the main characteristics of wisdom and the characteristic of wise living. Inevitably, somebody who is not acting with wisdom will elicit some kind of conflict. Even someone acting with wisdom could start the same conflict. Acting with peace and pursuing a peaceful resolution with any situation is the mark of a wise person and someone who is acting with the wisdom of the Holy Spirit. There are times when a peaceful resolution is not possible. In cases like this, it is vitally important that a person is acting within God's will. Pursuing peace and solving conflicts with a peaceful resolution is one of the only ways to show others a changed life or a changed heart. And after all, the only way to change lives is to live righteously, and righteousness changes lives. Another mark of wise living is gentleness. People do not want to learn from violent, rough people. Wisdom is gentle and is not easily stirred to aggression. There is a time and a place for violence and aggression, but people who act with wisdom know that fighting is one of the last resorts. Of course, when the situation places a loved one or yourself in danger, violence or aggression might be the first and only result to that situation. But those situations are few and far between. Gentleness and living with a gentle spirit allows people to be comfortable with the scenario, and it allows people to relax. Living righteously means acting with wisdom. The only way to change lives is to live righteously, and righteousness changes lives. Wisdom is open to reason, and wisdom is open to change. With the right amount of persuasion, People can be led and lead with godly wisdom. Henry Ford was open to innovation. Being open to change and innovation led Ford to build and operate his assembly line. Stop and think of where our society might be if Ford was not open to change. Think of the wars that we might have lost if we did not know how to mass produce tanks or planes. We could all be speaking German or eating sauerkraut. There are things in this world that are not open to change, and wisdom allows a person to be open to reason, not chance. The only way to change lives is to live righteously, and righteousness changes lives. A life that is lived with mercy and a life that produces good fruits is a life that is full of wisdom. Whenever a person is presented with a problem with multiple solutions, it is a person's responsibility to act with mercy with the intention of producing good fruits. Changing lives is the goal of a righteous person. Whenever Henry Ford was presented with a choice or a potential conflict, Ford wanted the end result to be the production of cars, or in his case, good fruit. Ford was using his wisdom to produce something. The thing that Ford was producing was cars for the world society. The only way to change lives is to live righteously. And righteousness changes lives. Wisdom is impartial and sincere. Wisdom does not seek a scapegoat for its actions or a fall guy to take the blame for consequences. Wisdom does not make light of any resulting actions from a decision. Wisdom squares her shoulders. Yes, I said her. She squares her shoulders and faces the music for its actions with grace and composure. There is no wavering with true wisdom. Acting with sincerity removes the jocular impression that many people display when faced with tough circumstances. People do not want to be belittled. Most people have a fairly high opinion of themselves, and they don't want their decision-making ability to be questioned. People want to be seen as able to view any situation with impartiality and with a certain level of sincerity or judgment. The only way to change lives is to live righteously, and righteousness changes lives. Living